My name is Luna, and this story starts on a day when everything still felt normal, even though the truth had already begun to rot underneath. I had been away for 10 days, visiting my family out of town. It wasn't anything dramatic, just a short break from classes, friends, and routine. My relationship was steady, peaceful, predictable. At least that's what I believed. Every night before sleeping, my boyfriend would send the same message. "I'm going to bed, babe, I love you so much." It was sweet, simple, comforting. But on the third night, something felt off. I don't know why, maybe intuition, maybe instinct. But I tapped on his name in my messages and opened the location feature we both had turned on months ago. Maybe I expected him to be asleep in his apartment. Maybe I expected to feel reassured. But what I saw instead was a tiny blue dot blinking somewhere else. At 3 a.m. At a girl's house. For a full minute I thought maybe it was a glitch. Locations glitch all the time, right? Right. But when he texted in the morning, I slept so well, knocked out all night. Something inside me detached. It wasn't anger. Not yet. It was the first quiet crack. So I tested it again the next night. And the next. And the next. Every night the same girl's address. Sometimes a different girl. Sometimes he'd switch locations at 2 a.m., 4 a.m. As if he'd created a personal tour of betrayal. And every morning he repeated the same sweet lie. Slept like a baby. I didn't confront him. I didn't cry on calls. I didn't even tell my friends. Because the moment you see the truth and pretend you didn't, your mind changes. Quietly, sharply, dangerously. For the rest of the trip, I kept myself calm. A kind of cold calm I didn't know I was capable of. He thought I believed everything. He thought I loved him blindly. He thought he was untouchable. He had no idea that while he was lying in other girls' beds, I was planning the night that would end everything. Not loudly, not dramatically, but perfectly. And when I finally came back home, I didn't hug him the same way. I didn't kiss him the same way. But I pretended like nothing had changed. Because the real story, the real twist, was still coming. And he was walking into it with a smile. The night I returned home, he hugged me like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't spent 10 nights lying to me. Like he hadn't whispered the same "goodnight, babe," while lying in someone else's sheets. I hugged him back. But my heart didn't soften. It sharpened. He kept talking about how much he missed me. How empty the apartment felt without me. How he couldn't sleep properly when I was gone. I listened. I nodded. I smiled at the right moments. But inside me, something cold and steady was forming. A quiet determination to end this story. Exactly on my terms. Because I knew something he didn't know. The moment someone betrays you so easily, they'll never expect you to walk away so silently. That silence became my weapon. For the first 2 days after returning, I didn't expose him. I didn't show anger. I didn't even hint that I knew. I let him feel safe. I let him believe he was clever. I let him think the world hadn't caught him. But every time he checked his phone, every time he smiled at my messages, every time he wrapped his arms around me, acting like nothing had happened, I remembered those location dots blinking at 3 a.m. I remembered the lies he repeated with such confidence. And I remembered the girls' addresses that were now burned into my memory. The plan came to me unexpectedly. Simple, clean, poetic. I remembered a guy from my past. Someone I once had a spark with. Someone who had always treated me with respect. Someone who still texted me occasionally. Just to check in. We hadn't met in ages. But when I messaged him, He replied within minutes. He asked how I was. I said, "Can you come over?" And he said, "Tell me the time." That was the moment everything shifted. Not because I wanted revenge through another guy, but because I wanted proof. Proof that I wasn't weak. Proof that I wasn't begging someone to love me. Proof that I still had choices. Good ones. The entire day my boyfriend kept texting me. "What do you want for dinner? When are you coming over? I've missed you so much." I kept replying sweetly, calmly, perfectly. He didn't suspect a thing. By evening I felt that quiet storm return. The same storm that started the day I saw his location at 3 a.m. Except now it wasn't pain. It was clarity. Everything was set. Everything was ready. All I had to do was wait for night, and let the truth do what lies never could. Expose everything. The moment evening arrived, the air in my apartment felt different. Too still, too quiet. As if the walls themselves knew what was about to happen. I paced for a while. Not because I was unsure, but because I could feel the weight of 10 days of lies sitting on my chest. Like a stone I was finally ready to throw away. When the guy from my past knocked on the door, I froze for a second. Not from guilt. That emotion had burned away days ago. But from the realization that this night would change everything. He walked in with a calm smile. The kind that didn't demand anything from me. No pressure. No expectations. Just presence. And for the first time in weeks, my shoulders relaxed. We talked for a while. And he listened, really listened. As I told him everything my boyfriend thought I didn't know. The late-night locations. The lies. The girls. The betrayal. Not once did he interrupt me. Not once did he judge me. When I finished, he looked at me and said gently, "You don't deserve that, not even close." Those words hit harder than any lie my boyfriend told. Because they were true. Somewhere in the middle of talking, in the middle of letting go, we got closer. Slowly, naturally, without force. There was something comforting about being seen again, valued again, wanted for the right reasons. One thing led to another, and what happened between us wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming the part of me that had been ignored, taken for granted, and replaced by someone else's selfishness. After it happened, I stood up, took a deep breath, and looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes looked the same, but something behind them had shifted. A kind of strength that only grows when someone breaks you, and you choose to rebuild yourself, instead of begging for the pieces. We took a few pictures together. Nothing vulgar, nothing reckless, but just enough to tell a story. A story that would end exactly the way I wanted. As I held my phone, scrolling through the screenshots of his late-night locations, my heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I felt calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes right before the truth arrives. Like a storm nobody saw coming. I sent him the screenshots, then the pictures of me and the new guy. And finally, one single message. "This is my new boyfriend." After that, I waited. Not because I wanted his reaction, but because I wanted closure. The kind of closure that doesn't come from forgiveness, but from finally letting someone see that the girl he thought would stay silent was the same girl who just burned the whole lie down. The moment I hit send, a strange silence filled the room. Not empty, not scary, Just final. My phone stayed still for maybe 10 seconds. Then it started vibrating non-stop. First came the messages. Then missed calls. Then the long, panicked paragraphs that only show up when someone realizes their lies aren't lies anymore. They're evidence. He kept texting things like, "What is this? Luna, talk to me. This is a misunderstanding. Please don't do anything stupid. Can we talk just once?" But the thing is, I wasn't angry anymore. Anger needs energy. Pain needs attachment. I had neither left for him. He kept calling, and with each call, my heart felt lighter, because the boy who cheated was finally scared, not of losing me, but of seeing himself, the way I finally did. When he realized I wasn't answering, his messages changed. Confusion turned to fear. Fear turned to excuses. Excuses turned to desperation. And then came the message that showed he finally broke. "Please don't leave me." But I already had. Long before he knew it. The guy from my past saw my phone light up, over and over with my boyfriend's name. And he didn't ask me to block him. He didn't judge me. He didn't push me to respond. He simply said, "If you want to cry, cry. If you want to scream, scream. If you want to walk away, you already have." And he was right. Walking away isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It isn't messy. Real walking away is a quiet decision that happens inside your heart, long before your feet ever move. My boyfriend showed up outside my apartment. 30 minutes later, he banged on the door like he had a right to answers. Like he hadn't stolen 10 nights from me. Like he hadn't chosen 3 other girls. Over honesty. I didn't open the door. I didn't need a final argument, or a dramatic scene, or a bunch of stolen explanations. Sometimes silence is the clearest sentence you can ever hand someone. He left eventually, but not before leaving one final message. "I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'll change." Funny how people remember the word change only when something they want is slipping out of their hands. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to hurt him, but because the story already had an ending. The moment I chose myself over the lies he wrapped in "Goodnight, babe." That night as I lay in bed, I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel regret. I felt free. Free from doubt. From overthinking. From waiting for someone who wasn't waiting for me. And somewhere in that freedom, a quiet truth settled in. Sometimes the strongest thing you can ever do is stop giving someone the power to break you again. That was the night I closed the chapter completely. Not with rage. Not with revenge. But with a calmness he never expected from me. Because the girl he thought he fooled was the same girl who walked away with her dignity intact and her heart finally safe in her own hands. And that was the real ending.